Okay. Okay. Yeah. 1 second. Okay. Perfect. Gracias. Yeah, so in our office in Buenos Aires, there are lots of people from Russia who don't speak Spanish at all. So I decided that, okay, staying with English sounds like a safer option. Now I know that for the next time, if you invite me again, it's going to be in Spanish, I promise. But most of all, thank you for having me here. It's a big honor, a big pleasure. And what I would like to cover today is, first of all, AppExchange and how it's happened that I'm speaking about this topic, because my role in Salesforce ecosystem, being Salesforce CTA, is usually doing big projects, enterprise architecture, and so on. I focus on AppExchange from 8 years, so comparing to how long this group exists is not so impressive, but it's what I really like, and it's what is quite my very small niche, that AppExchange apps is literally something what I think is quite rewarding. And the reason why, it's a pretty good book from Joel Spolsky about hiring developers, where he explained, let me read this quote: "Internal in-house software is rarely important enough to justify hiring rock stars. Nobody hires Donny Parton to sing at their wedding. That's why the most satisfying careers, if you are a software developer, are at actual software companies, not doing IT for some bank." And I found it that doing lots of standard Salesforce projects for some, I don't know, banks, farmers, blah, 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 it's boring stuff. You have technical debt, you have some Indian developers, you hate your job, you hate your life. So generally, to have interesting projects, AppExchange was for me this place when usually you build something nice, something meaningful. Somebody at the end have to buy this app, so it cannot be crap. It must look good. It must have some sense in terms of the user flow and so on. So like building AppExchange products, maybe it's a little bit more challenging than standard Salesforce development, but at the end it's much more rewarding. And at least you can show your apps to your colleagues. You can take link to your AppExchange listing, share it. It's not like super secret stuff that you are even not allowed to speak to your partner what exactly you are doing at your job. So what's the plan for the next 20 minutes? First step, to hide this as much as possible. And okay, I'm going to cover what does it take to publish the app. So what are the steps to do it, focusing on how much time it takes, how many skills you need to have, and what are the costs related to the whole process. We are going to touch base on why it's a good idea, in my opinion. So what are the benefits available for you after you have your first app live, and what you can do with all these new skills, which after this session you will be able to get. So starting with how to get there. So how the process looks like. The first step is relatively easy. You go to partners.salesforce.com and you click become a partner. So far so good, right? You have to fill some official papers to officially register yourself as a partner. And to do it, you must have a legal entity. Having a self-employment company is good enough. And as far as I understand, system in Uruguay and Argentina, opening your own company is quite easy. In case if due to any reason you don't want to do it in your country and you think it's like a big blocker, you can just Google it. And there are like places like Hong Kong, whatever, you find countries in the world which you were not even aware that exist, and you can open company there fully remote. It's good enough to be a Salesforce partner. Nobody really check like all these details. The only real cost is that you must have an email address from some private domain. So you cannot use your Gmail account. You must buy a domain, but again, like few dollars to get domain and welcoming being officially a partner. Then you must submit your business plan. So to become AppExchange partner, you have to explain Salesforce what your app is going to do, how you want to monetize it, if it's going to be paid up, if it's free up, it's relatively simple, and generally what kind of the problems are you going to solve. There are some limitations. So for example, if you would came to idea to build a clone of Sales Cloud, it can be a good idea, but Salesforce is not going to like this idea. And it means that, for example, you cannot clone literally Salesforce paid products, but even if you want to build something for free, I know a story about one guy who tried to make a new version of developer console, more fancy developer console. Developer console is bad. And what happened? He spent like a few months on development, submitted as a free app, and then Salesforce in a polite way responded that they are not interested to have it on AppExchange. So generally filling this business plan upfront before you can start any development can save you some frustration in case if they have any problems with your idea. After you submit it, it's easy, but what if you don't get this idea? You would like to get the skills. Let's wait for a second, okay? But you have no idea what kind of the app to build. First of all, on Salesforce events, like doing for trailhead X, there are some special places when people can write their ideas on postcard, point it, then Salesforce is picking best ideas, posting on the internet, so you can just go through their content and try to find something interesting. Another option is to go to Idea Exchange. To build meaningful app, it's worth to find meaningful problem. And if you find a problem who was posted like 3 years ago, there is no solution for this, and it has lots of votes, it means that it's really pain for quite lots of people. So if you build app which solves this problem, somebody is going to use it. And I'm author of Formula Debugger, which I'm going to show you soon, which came exactly from this point. Like I had once on my project problem how to debug messy Indian-based formula field. I spent like half day on this. I decided, okay, let's Google, are there any tools which can help me with this? And I found that there is no tool for this, but there is like exactly this idea exchange post, quite lots of people asking 2,000 points. So I built something like that and it's live. And that's how it looks like. So entire app is literally one Lightning Web component, which include 4 or 5 smaller components. You can pick object, formula field. There are some highlights for the syntax. You can populate test data, super simple stuff. I would say even for a first project, it can be a little bit too big because on the development, I spent around 40 hours. And I can show you an examples of even smaller apps. So a colleague of mine built knowledge article to PDF. One button, one Apex controller, one unit test. Like I made code with you. I'm not lying, it's less than 4 hours of development. What is crazy about this app, it does exactly what it promised. So you can generate PDF from knowledge article. The guy is making on this $20K per year. How it happened? Incredible story. Lots of people paying for this app already have stuff like DocuSign, so complex document generation tool, who can cover exactly this use case. But if you are the solo Salesforce admin working in the company, it's Friday, and your boss came to you and say, hey, we have to generate all knowledge articles for audit for our legal department, and you have to solve it today. And you have no idea how to configure DocuSign template. You just go to AppExchange, you take company credit card, and you pay for this. $20K per year, pretty solid money, unexpected. I was not believing it's going to be a success, but it is. Even greater success, local time. Application with super simple frontend, which solve one use case. If you have contacts and lists from different parts of the world, you do not want to call your potential customer on 3 AM of daily time. So this app takes the localization of the contact, take the local time, and tell you that for this guy is, for example, 6 PM, don't call him. Is making, I haven't spoken with the author on my own, so I'm not going to like share exact number, but it's making much more money than the previous one, just because it was the first app solving this particular use case. So he has quite lots of users, lots of good reviews. And there are like good examples that if you want to build something first time, picking small idea which somebody can pay for is probably the biggest chance that you're going to have some success and some customers. If you don't want to start small, you have like big dreams, you have already some idea for, I don't know, next $1 million company, what it's worth to notice is that it's worth to validate your idea. So it's not topic for this presentation, but I strongly encourage you to read about design thinking. Usually, like if you read one book about design thinking, it's even hard to get the full concept. But there are some free internet courses which help you like week after week. I believe like this QR code, I'm going to of course share the presentation, is like up to 24 weeks program. When you have like weekly assignments, it's free to go for it. You have to pay something if you want to have certificates at the end. If not, like 24 weeks of study for free, which can help you to then go more into product development in terms of working with potential customers, polishing your idea, validating it, getting feedback. But again, if your focus is how to build first up and get technical skills, it's definitely not necessary. Okay, so going back to our process of publishing the app. We submitted business plan. We wait maybe a few days, maybe a few weeks, because Salesforce team is not very responsive. But one day we have this green panel approved, contract agreement signed, and it's the first moment when you can start thinking about developing the apps. There are exactly two ways. As you are in developer group, you know Apex, you know writing web components, you know technical stuff, you know that is not so easy. So for people like you who generally know Salesforce development and want to go from technical part, how to make it related to AppExchange, Michael Holt, one from ISV team expert, make a very nice guide, like step-by-step, how to register namespace, how to register partner business, or how to generate package. So generate like full manual, step-by-step, how to apply your current knowledge to AppExchange specific details. In case if you just have idea, but you are not technical guy, or you have friends like that, you can share them link about product development outsources program. So it's exactly what Aquivalabs is doing. If somebody wants to create a startup, but due to any reason don't want to make development on their own, companies like Akiva generally make this development on behalf on ISV partners, and it's how we are paying our bills. So please share good words about us. But okay, assuming that the code exists, you finish the development, the most dreadful part is security review. So it's like this final moment when you submit all your metadata, all your code, and Salesforce team is going to verify, is it good enough to be published on the AppExchange? They're checking lots of stuff. Security, as the name says, is like the first thing. So if you, for example, do not expose too many data to end users and so on. As well, they check, do you follow OWASP standards? So they can be picky even about your code quality, about CSS type and this kind of stuff. And during the entire process, they make code review. They make end-to-end testing of your app. So you have to prepare Salesforce sandboxes with your app installed and some test data. And you have to prepare some documentation like user guides, description of your architecture, and so on. To prepare for security review, luckily, Salesforce has quite good content on trailhead. So it's like 6-hour trailhead, which explains you exactly nitty-gritty details of this process, how to prepare this documentation, and so on. The only important thing, it's nice to learn about this before you start development. If you firstly start development and then try to make your app secure, you have to sometimes redo lots of work. So to save, again, time and frustration, learning first is going to make your life a little bit easier. And then for the final moment, you just go through this partner portal when you register at the beginning. You attach all documentation, access to your test environment, all the details, you click submit, and then you wait. Before Salesforce will proceed your data, unfortunately, you have to pay for the security review. And it's changed recently. So literally starting from 1st March, the new rules applies. Previously, for free applications, security review was for free. And for paid application, it was $2,700. They changed it, and now it's around $1,000 per attempt, regardless if the application is free or paid. Which means that when I built my app for free, it was no cost at all. Now it's changing, and probably is going to make impact on how many free apps are available on the AppExchange. as they recently make this change, we will see like in 1 or 2 years, are they going to be fine with the output? Partner ecosystem is rather skeptical about it, as you can imagine. But it is what it is. So generally, $1,000 per attempt. If you fail, you have to pay again. And official statistics are that on average, to pass your application first time, it takes 2.1 attempts. My recommendation is to submit the application as small as possible. So if you have like basic data model, maybe one Apex class like you with a MVP, submit it as small because then it's a smaller chance of failure. If you firstly put like few months of development and then make submission, chances that you will pass in the first attempt, of course, are decreasing because there's lots of potential place for mistakes. You have to wait for the results. So Salesforce firstly check, did you upload all metadata, all documentation? Do they have access to the test environment? And after 1 or 2 days, they're going to confirm that their submission looks good. But then they put it in some queue. And historically, in this queue, it was like 4 to 6 weeks of waiting. Now, maybe with this new payment model, the queue is going to change. So maybe it's going to be faster. That would be nice. Historically, it was quite problematic because even if you make one small bug, then like this waiting time, especially if you have some customers waiting, you want to conquer the world, it was as well painful. So long story short, it's good to do everything what possible to pass in the first attempt to avoid this waiting and extra payments. And what are the potential outcomes? One, optimal, that you get email like that you pass security review, congratulations, I did my job, you are the pro. Option number 2, you get email like that. So generally you failed security review and you have some specific bugs. If it's one, as you see, they tell me exactly in which file, which line of code, and explain why it's a problem. So like for fixing it, I need maybe half hour to like check this code, upload new version, test it. If I have to now pay another $1,000 and wait for weeks, that's going not be so nice experience, but it's not disaster. The disaster looks like that. You get the email and you have plenty of mistakes, which means that now to fix all of these Apex bugs, I'm going to spend like few weeks. But most of all, I can introduce lots of new bugs during these few weeks, which means that I will submit this app again, but probably I'm going to fail again. And then it's usually for big ISVs who have to resubmit the app after a few years. It can take weeks or months to finally pass it. And usually for the big company, it's lots of problems because in my previous job, we had this situation. They asked us to resubmit application after 7 years. Nobody from the team who built the app 7 years ago was in the company at that time. Nobody really know how this process looks like. It was also fun. Luckily, I leave a company before like it happened. It was as well after somebody bought our startup, so it was not fun anymore. But it took them months to go through all this problem. So, assuming that you get this first email, so you finally passed it, the last step is to publish your app on the AppExchange. So you have some content management system when you can upload a video of your app, when you can upload some pictures, some descriptions, documentation, highlights. So generally things which then your potential customers can read to make decision. Do they want to download this app? Do they want to pay for it? So and so on. And luckily, on this stage, you are already a Salesforce AppExchange partner, so they send you lots of materials how to do it. So even if you are not a marketing person, you can easily do it on your own. And what are the benefits of becoming AppExchange partner? So what is going to really change in your life from this moment? First of all, you're going to get access to something called Apex Debugger. As we know, debugging in Salesforce is a very nice experience. And for Salesforce partners, you can buy some professional debugging thing, which is super expensive. For ISV partners, you have access to this tool for free. You can start using Salesforce Connect, another quite fancy technology for integration, for free as part of your package. You can introduce platform cache, which makes your app going faster. And all of these features are available to normal Salesforce partners, but I never work in a company when customer has budget for any of them. So the fact that you can start using it for any project means that you're getting experience, which then is quite unique. And in computer science in general, having knowledge about niche topic means that you are an expert. And being an expert, it's what increases your salary. So it's like this learning part can be really rewarding. You get access to test drive and Salesforce. So before somebody install your app, they can see some demos or even create a Salesforce environment with this app installed. And again, it's not rocket science, but before you're an AppExchange partner, you cannot really learn how to configure these things. And you can start using license management app. You can start logging to end customer orgs to provide support, and even automatically install new version of your application via push upgrade mechanism. So again, lots of things which then on the consulting are quite unique to know. And what you can do with all of this? I suppose that with the new payment model, if you decided to go for it, it's going to be paid up. So now, good luck, because after you publish on AppExchange, how to find customers, how to provide support, it's literally can be a life of startup founder, and it's going to be for sure fun. You can come to company like Aquivalabs. The main reason why I'm here is because I had this app previously. I know all this test drive, Salesforce, these fancy acronyms. And even in a company where lots of people are building AppExchange apps, having this end-to-end understanding of the full process is something quite unique. So like for PDO partner, having this kind of level can be like super helpful. And you can just decide to go to one of ISVs. So when I'm thinking about my previous job, if you have anybody who build this kind of the app as well, that would be super good asset, because for sure one day Salesforce will ask every ISV to resubmit their app. And then if you are the only person who know how to do this, again, it's pretty nice place to be in your career. So let's wrap it up. What does it take to publish your first app? In terms of the time, filling this initial form, super simple, 1 hour. Business plan, again, if you have idea, making few sentences, even if you are not an English speaker natively, you use ChatGPT, it generates business plan for you, right? So it's 1 hour. Development. If you listen to the first part and you pick something nice, meaningful, like simple use case, it can be few hours. 1 week is like maximum, which I recommend. Security review, assuming that you learn about this and you don't have to redo 40 hours from the previous step. So generally preparing this test environment and documentation, less than 1 Monday. And if we add making screenshots and preparing text for the listening, is going to be maybe 2, maybe 4 hours. So if we count like everything in total, end-to-end process can take you between 2 Mondays, maybe like 54 hours. But of course, in the waiting time, because you have to wait for Salesforce to respond to you, maybe it's going to take from 1 to 3 months. But still, like it's end of February, it means that in the first part of the year, you can accomplish it, right? For guys from Akiva, you can put it on Lipson. That would be a nice goal to have. And in terms of money, $1,000 per attempt. So again, try to pass it first time. And that's all. So like publishing your first app, it's relatively easy. It's much easier than you can think if you are coming from the outside. Like 3 years ago, I was thinking about different app. I was like developer with 3 years of experience. So I had all technical Apex know-how, but just this process scared me so much that I decided to pass this idea. It's fun. Like, it's why we are doing development. Like probably you like it, you are passionate. So having your own project, which you are doing like on the weekends or something, again, like can give you nice motivation for your whole job. And it can be worth the effort. Like I still don't believe this 20K for this knowledge article, but like it's lots of money, right? So that's all what I had for today. So thank you a lot. And yeah,